Who is reporting for Group 1?
Jane was our note taker. She's still muted. This is Conrad. I could read her notes, or she can.
Jane, you need to unmute. Jane, unmute.
Okay, there she is.
There we go.
Okay. Please chime in. Are the notes here on this document?
Yes, they are.
I'm trying to find them.
I can read them if you want me to.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I'd be happy for you to do the summary, because I was so intent on taking notes. I don't think
How long do we have for the report, Don?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay, well, let's see. So Ruiz, let's see. Let me see. I see 2. Yeah, I mean, I can't. So most of us agreed with the kind of all the feedback that we learned that you read ahead of time, that it was about its valuable things. I guess let's see, Ruhr pointed out that the beginning transition was based on the permaculture ethics of earth care, people care, fair share, and we need to keep those in mind. Christina talked about we need to stay, when we try to diversify, it gets inauthentic, and so that's, let's see. Then Jennifer had something to say about the movement generation, a lot, younger and more diverse people, and that's certainly one of the cohorts that has not been prominent in transition. And then I will say I spoke about, well, one of my things that I've come to understand. Whenever I meet anybody new, it's not very long before we're talking about what's going on in the world, and I found that people in general understand that things aren't working right in our world, and I think there's without talking about peak oil or anything else, it's just there's this notion that things aren't right. And the way I've thought about it is that most of what goes on in the world, most of how things are done, are the result of false narratives that we get, that the culture produces, that are things to follow that explain how things work or what we should do, and they're leading us in the wrong way. So I think, I guess I would advocate that rather than having, replacing peak oil with social, with some things, if we try to find 3 or 4 or 6 or whatever number of things that are the focus, we're always going to leave something out. And I think maybe another just an awareness that somehow that one of the ways we're all in this together is that we're all subject to these false narratives that the world has sort of adopted. So I talked about that.
Yeah, I think, sorry, my phone chime, I guess, isn't as loud as it used to be. So
okay.
I'll get them all.
Okay, I'll pass then.
If anybody from Group 1 wants to add to that, if there was anything, particularly salient that you'd like to share with the group?
Well, we had a pretty good discussion about trying to live within our limits, and trying to make, realizing that if we are serious about renewable energy, we're going to have to figure out how to live with less, because there's just not going to be as much power as there is with fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you very much. Let's hear from Group 2.
Hi, I was the note taker, and I will do the report back. So John, Kat, Paul, and Aya were in the group. Leslie was in the group as well, but she had to step away. So the whole concept of what a just transition is, it has our name on it. We should lean in, was John's comment. I don't think it's about crossing lines. It's about breaking down lines. This social justice piece, it's just what we need to do. And so the second question, what to do? What do we do about it? We are doing it. We are unfolding. I'm confident what we want to do what we want is to get the social justice be social and economic justice centered in the transition US conversations, and to work that into our national working groups seems like something we can do. The social justice groups work needs to go into all working groups. Many different folks are unique and different. How do we learn from them? Key part of putting this into practice. We need young people. They break down every barrier, and finding allies. National working group, the spiritual piece, we can try to make denser connections and connect the dots amongst the working groups in everything we do. Keep us rooted. Speak of leaders, leaderful movements. Everyone should acquire the skills and experiences so that we can scale things up. It's a generational matter to attend to. Paul likes to use the word middle out process instead of bottom up sometimes. Leaders really help advance movements. Paul also said the way we use language is absolutely critical, and transitioning across movements is very exciting at this moment.
Great. Anybody from group 2 want to add anything to that?
I just want to thank Ayako, who took the notes rather selflessly and didn't quote herself. And she said all kinds of great things that set the tone for us. And I just want to add the piece about centering justice. I think for transition to go forward, if we actually center justice in all of its forms, intergenerational, economic, environmental justice should be talked about, climate justice, and so forth. Maybe peak justice should be our new, anyway, peace back.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Ayako, and to all everyone, all the selfless note takers. Let's hear from group 3. Who's reporting back from group 3?
I was the note taker. So our group was Mark Cooper, Elizabeth Marcus, David Cobb, and myself. Elizabeth and I were both old timers, having been in trans for since 2009. And we felt that there had been quite a change in transition concepts since then. So not only peak oil, but more like resource degradation and donut economics. Basically, the permaculture principles and ethics, which really include social justice. And so for those who aren't familiar, it's earth care, people care, fair share. So that obviously includes social justice and economic justice. One of our folks said that we're missing a huge component, the rise of artificial intelligence and the loss of jobs that go along with it. And that we should be emphasizing how we are going to survive the collapse, because collapse is inevitable, not preventable. Another idea was that he's encouraged to see the willingness of transition to grasp the connection of social justice and the economy. The economic system of capitalism is a huge part of the problem, and it can't be reformed, it needs to be transformed. I think the whole issue too was just how much all these issues are connected. They're not just separate issues that we need to deal with all at once, but they really are all connected. They're all based on this, similar problems of not being more centered on greed and not as much on caring for each other. So I will leave it at that. I want to connect you to that Cooperation Humboldt study group link that's in the notes there. There are various topics that they've been working on as study groups for some time. Thanks.
Great. Anybody else from group 3 want to add anything?
I just want to chime in, and it wasn't my thought, but I certainly agree with it. One of the the two that had to leave mentioned, we can't continue to grow exponentially on a finite planet. And how does that, how can we capture that? Because that's a very important concept.
Yeah, pretty clear.
Yep.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Let's go to group 4. We have Shelley, Janice, Tara, and Cheryl. Do we have anybody to speak for group number 4?
Shelley, you're muted there.
Yeah. Okay. You just repeated everything. I'm looking at my notes and trying not to get confused because I took so many as always. So yeah, Tara, Janice, Cheryl, and Shelley. Shelley took the notes. Tara's new. She says generally she sees the words social justice around the website, but the movement has seemed more focused on getting away from a consumer society, more science-based, although she does see that everything's related. Janice knows that this social justice piece is very important, but she's terribly concerned about climate change, that everything is happening faster than anticipated. She used to work for NOAA. Everything is accelerating. The sensitivity of the climate is just more than scientists anticipated with the albedo effect. And the only thing left is behavior change. She doesn't want the sole focus on social justice, but at the same time, there are massive numbers of migrants and people are going to die unless we take care of climate change, but at the same time, we also have to deal with social justice. Cheryl is new. She's concerned about moving away from peak oil because she's seen that so much of our economy is based on peak oil because of all the jobs that would be affected. But she also recognizes that renewable energy and the end of fossil fuels we can redesign a new economic base and generate new jobs. Many people are working on it. Shelley recognizes that we need entire life cycle analyses because not only are people suffering from the effects of fossil fuel pollution, but also even in digging metals for batteries and for renewable energies. Whole societies are being destroyed. Janice brought up the harmful effects of fracking, and Shelley brought up that so many frontline communities are suffering not only from that pollution, but also from transportation. There's so many different connected areas. Is that it? Was that my time?
You can wrap up if, a couple more.
Okay. Tara kind of really summed it up for us beautifully, where she said, we really need to be partnering with others. She liked that saying that we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can work very well with others. So we can provide an umbrella and bring in experts in order to deal with these specific details. We also need concentrated initiatives. We can enhance the project. We need the product. If we all work together, we build momentum. There's more energy behind the same idea. More people want the same thing. Clean planet equity, working with other groups to push this effort.
A lot there. Thank you very much. Anybody else from group 4 want to add anything? Okay, then we can go on to group 5. We have somebody to speak for group 5.
Sure. Yeah, this is Galen. We had a lovely discussion, very rich discussion about all of this. So one of the things that comes out is there's a tremendous agreement that social justice needs to be front and center. It's also identified that sort of diversity in leadership should be addressed, spotlighting diversity and enhancing communication about the value of social justice being front and center. One of the things that was discussed that that I put forward as my own personal sort of framing is framing social justice as a crucial aspect of intercultural healing, and recognizing that there's a cultural worldview division crisis that is part of this, and so that ties into not holding the importance of remaining nonpartisan, and the importance of putting social justice front and center as somehow mutually exclusive. That we really need to get better at reaching across worldviews, and connecting and understanding one another. There is recognition that that there is a lack of diversity in the movement, particularly towards middle class, white and middle class. And there's an alignment on making this a values-centered approach, that it tends to be easier to find common ground if we're focused on the values of moving forward. And we're noticing that movements are coming together. Everything's interconnected. We're noticing the links between environmental justice, racial economic justice. They can't really be separated. And I hear the bell there. So looking to make partnerships and examples, role modeling ways to do that, and transitioning out of a volunteer movement into a network of regenerative business incubators, because as we enable ourselves to empower folks to be financially sustainable, then we'll also be able to better address the diversity issues.
Right. Thanks, Galen. Anybody else from Group 5 have anything that they want to add?